Okay, welcome everyone, and great to have everybody here. We are holding on the bottom of Nun Vav Amid Beis, by 4 lines from the bottom. Amar Rav Ami, Haniach Sa'or al Gabe Isa. If, let's say, Barry put sourdough on top of a dough of a mincha, v'halach v'yashiv lay, and then he went and sat in his lazy boy, v'nis chamtza me'aleh, and it became chametz by itself. So he started the process, and it became chametz by itself. Chayiv aleh, he gets malchus. We beat him up 39 lashes with a l'shem yichud, with kavana atzuma. We raffle off the schus. Why? It's Kamaisa Shabbos. It's the same thing as if Barry would put a piece of meat on coals and then walk away, he would be chayiv. Says the Gemara, Umaisa Shabbos ki agavna mi chayiv? Mi mechayiv? V'amar Rabba Baba Chana said, Amar Reb Yochanan niach basar al gabe gecholim. If Barry put meat on coals, Hefach boy, if he turned it around, if he flipped it, he's a good barbecuer. If he flipped it, chayiv. Lo hefach boy pater. If he didn't flip it, it's pater. So then the chayra over here also, you should need to have to take the sa'ar and put it to the other side of the dough. Says the Gemara, you're right. Amar Rava, my chayiv nami de kamer k'maisei tzli shel Shabbos. It has to be k'maisei tzli. You have to at least move it around. Gufa, 4 lines from the top. Welcome Gedalia, just getting started, and I'm really delighted to see that we have over here in the shul tonight already 7 people. That's a ruba. That's Niker, so that, gives somebody like Elia Yafi a tremendous reason to come down to shul. I mean, if the rebellion, if the flights would be cheaper, Baruch would commute a few times a week. If they'd be a little cheaper. We need to get Danny Vogel back down here. You hear me, Danny? I don't want a picture of a bridge. I want you here in the shul. Have a picture of a bridge. Das helft mir Sach. For that matter, where's Irving tonight? Wow, Irving's not here. Very rare for Irving to not be here. Anyway, Gufa, Amar Rabba Baba Chana Amar Reb Yochanan, Haniach B'sar al Gabi Gecholim. If Barry put meat on coals, Hefach by if he turned it around, Chayiv. Lo Hefach by if he didn't flip it, Potter. So obviously the question is, Hechi Dami. Perfect for Barry, right? Hechi Dami. What's the case? If you don't flip it, it's not going to cook, then pshita. What are you going to say, that if he doesn't flip it, eventually it's going to cook anyway? Then why isn't he chayiv? Says the Gemara, it's talking about weak coals. They're weak coals. If they don't flip it, if Barry doesn't flip it, the side facing the coals will cook like the bandit Machal ben Rusai that's always on the run, and he can't afford to cook his stuff more than a third cooked. If something is a third cooked only on one side, that's not considered bishul. If he flips it, then at least it'll be a third on both sides. V'kamash malan dekol mitzad echad kamachal ben rusai. If it's only a third cooked on one side, loy klum, you're not chayiv. That's not considered a creative enough malacha. However, Amar Rava, v'im nitzla by kegregus, the minimum share is that you have to cook like a dried fig. Now, if a share of a dry fig roasted properly, then tzad echad, even if it's on one side, b'makam echad in one place, chayiv. Now, Taisus learns that this is dafka b'makam echad. If it roasted properly on one side in 3 different places, you will not combine it to a dried fig. So it has to be roasted properly on one side in one place, the share of a dried fig. And on that, Amalei Ravina l'Ravashi, b'makam echad, in only in one place, b'shnayim or gimel mekaymis lay, not in 2 or 3 places. On Shabbos, you cannot combine. Vatanan hakodeach kol shehu. If you drill a minuscule hole, you're chayiv. So at first the Gemara doesn't think that that's possible, that you could be chayiv a malacha for making a small hole. Hey chidami, ilema b'makam echad, that you should be chayiv for a small hole in one place. Kol shulamai chazi, what's it fit for? That's not a creative labor. It's a small hole in 2-3 different places. And the craftsman then could combine it easily into one hole. The chazal the tzirif. So you see that even if it's not in one place, you could combine.
What's he combining?
Huh?
What's he combining?
He's giving a share of the 3 holes. That it's a size of a hole that's considered binyan, building. Says the Gemara, lie. No. You can't combine the holes. When it says one hole, you're chayav for one tiny hole. Wait a second. What's one tiny hole going to do? Yeah, but the chazal above a daklida. One hole is fit for the tooth of a key. A tiny hole, you could put in the tooth of a key, and that's enough. Now the ikadamre, there's another version. Amar Rava afilu b'shnayim v'gimel mekaymis. Here, Ruvain, it's talking about the meat. That if the meat is roasted more than achol ben rasai, on one side in 2 or 3 different places. Danny is here. See? I asked and I got him. In 2 or 3 different places, it does combine. Amalei Ravina Ravashi, I'll bring a raya from the drilling of the holes. You drill a small hole, you're chayiv. Hey chidami, what is one hole, a little hole fit for? And you see the chazal l'tzirif. We combine it into a big hole. Says Gemara, no. Maybe it's no raya that we combine. It's talking about one small hole. The chazul, the bava daklida, it's fit for the tooth of a key. Now, back to the mincha. And I guess I should do my due diligence over here. First of all, our chaver Adaf Mel Zachta's wife lost her brother. We'll learn, I'm not sure if they kept the name Rafal, David Menashe, Ben Moshe Alevi. Neshama should have an aliyah.
On the Misaskim list, it did not say David.
Yeah, I figured that. David Menashe and Moshe Alevi. We learn dedicated by Shalom Fogeli, Nishmas Yaakov Zev ben Yudaya, Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam bas Gad, Yosef ben Tzim ben Yaakov Zev, L'Refuah Shalema for Moshe Arya ben Miriam, for a great shidduch for Chaya Tzivya bas Shoshana Gittel, for a great shidduch for Batya bas Sarah, by Baruch Yin, Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther bas Yona, Avram ben Shmuel HaKohen, L'Refuah Shalema for Liba bas Anya, L'Refuah Shalema for Yosef Shmuel ben Miriam, and for a healthy mommy, healthy baby, for Ariel and Lior bas Elza Rivka, and that Eddie, although we love having him here, should get safely back to his family. It's especially comforting to be with your family when every other minute you got to run to the miklat. So you want Tati, Abba, Daddy home when that happens.
Chaim Rafal ben Sarah.
Chaim Rafal ben Sarah.
Mordechai Tzvi ben
Ruschana. They should have Moshe Meir ben Esther. Should have Refuah Shalema b'Sech Shachar Yisrael. Now, Tana Rabbanan. Ilu Nemar, if it would say in the pasuk Asher Sakrivu LaHashem Lo Say Asa Chametz, that which you offer to Hashem, you should not make chametz. I would think that the only thing that you can't make chametz is the kmitza. I would say ainly beloisa se chametz elakaimetz bilvad. Mincha minayin. How do we know that you can't make the entire mincha chametz even before you remove the kmitza? Talmud Leimer, it says an extra mincha. Now it says this by the minchas macheshes, by the mincha that's deep fried. Shar menachos minayin. How do I know it by other menachos? Talmud Leimer kol mincha. Every mincha asher takriv LaHashem ksheira v'loy psula. But the din is that asher sakrivu LaHashem, the only mincha that you get malchus, I shouldn't say you, that Barry gets malchus for making chametz is only if it's a ksheira, if it's kosher mincha, v'loy psula, not if it's a disqualified mincha. We can't amru hamachmis etzak ksheira, if you ferment a kosher mincha chayiv. There's a psula. Let's say the mincha was taken outside, so it was nifsel b'yotzei, so potter. Now, here the Gemara declares an interesting shaila. This is something that, Yisrael Fisher sits up late in the night and thinks about such a shaila, when he can't sleep. Bayra Papa, chimtza v'yatzasa. He made it chametz, it was taken outside, v'chaza v'chimtza, and then he made it chametz again. Mahu. Keva v'yatzasa, since it was pasul, if salalai b'yaitze, it already became pasul. And then when he makes it chametz again, even though we said that you're chayiv if you make it chametz after chametz, but here you're not chayiv because it was already pasul b'yaitze. O Dilma, or perhaps since before he took it out, he made it chametz, so then the psul of yaitze has no effect on it, because it was already no good because it became chametz. O Dilma came in the chinza, psul yaitze loy mahanabei. And then v'chi hadar machmetzlei, when he makes the chametz, it's a regular din of making it a chametz after chametz. Mechayev v'lei mishum mechametz achar mechametz. So the Gemara says, take it. We're going to got to leave that up to Eliyahu Hanavi. Now here's another question. You need somebody very special for this. Very special. Eddie. Although he's not showing his face, which with a man like Eddie, I understand totally. But because you never know where he is. He could be in a nuclear submarine. You never know. So by Ramari, chimtza b'roshei shel mizbeach. the Kohen took it up already to the top of the Mizbeach, and then he made it chametz. Wow. The pasuk says you shouldn't make it chametz asher takriva, that which you will offer, Amar Rachmana. V'akrava, but he already offered it. Oidilma, since he didn't put it on the fire yet, Oidilma b'chusar aktorah k'mechusar ma'aseh. I mean, that's considered like he didn't fully offer it, and therefore the prohibition of making a chametz is still applicable. Teiku, tishbi ataretz kushas v'bayis. We're not sure. Now, v'hashta denafkele mikol mincha. Now that we learned out from kol mincha that it's not just the minchas marcheshes, but every mincha and the whole mincha. So asher takrivo la'Hashem l'amali. Why does it say asher takrivo la'Hashem? What's that about? We needed to add a type of mincha. Mibayle l'kedesanya asher takrivo l'rabbis minchas nesachim l'chimatz. That the mincha that accompanies libations is also asur for chametz. Divrei Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Kiva Aimer l'rabbis lechem aponim l'chimatz. That the lechem aponim, if you make it chametz, you're chayiv. So the Gemara asks, wait a second. The minchas nesachim has a tremendous amount of oil. The mincha of a keves has 3 lugan of oil to an isara. And that means you don't need to mix in water. So how does it become chametz? Oil is mei peris. Mei peris ain't machmetzes. Says the Gemara, minchas nesachim mei peris ain't. And even the ayil and the par, we said is a ratio of 2 lugan to an isaron. It doesn't need water. Or may peris say machmitzin. So how could you say that it's coming to tell you if the minchas nesachim becomes chametz? Amar Reish Lakish, Omer Hayu Rabbi Yosef Aglili, that minchas nesachim megabla b'mayim ukasheira. You could knead the minchas nesachim with water, and it's kosher. And therefore, since you knead it with water, it's telling you that you can't make it chametz.
What about all that oil?
What?
And the water will make it.
The water will make it chametz anyway.
All the oil.
Yeah, the water will make it chametz. Also, remember you're going to be chayiv even if it's just in one place. Even if it's a share of a Gregorus. Or a Kzayas probably. Says the Gemara, wait a second. How could the lechem aponim become chametz before it's baked? How could lechem aponim become chametz? The lechem aponim has no oil, and therefore it's measured in an isaron, and that's a midas hayavesh. And a midas hayavesh was not sanctified; it was not anointed, so it's not holy yet. So there can't be an issur of making a chametz. Says the Gemara, lechem aponim midas yaveshi. It's a dry measure. V'shemana leilu Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva holds the amar midas yavesh loy niskacha, that the dry measures was not sanctified. It was not anointed, and therefore the lechem aponim doesn't become holy. That there should be an issur to make it chametz. Says the Gemara, Shalach Ravin, that's the girsa that they have, from Reb Ruvain to Ravin. Shalach Ravin, Mishmei de Reb Yochanan, Kachi Yatzah Shel Mishnah, this is the proper layout of the Mishnah. The Epoch, switch around the names. Asher Takrivu L'Rabbis Lechem Aponim L'Chimatz. Div Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Yosef Glili holds that the midas hayavesh was sanctified. Rabbi Kiva, I'm a Rabbis Minchas Nesachem Lechimet. Stack according to Rabbi Kiva, it can't be the Lechem Aponim because the Lechem Aponim was not sanctified before it was put in the oven. Says the Gemara, V'oz de Rabbi Yochanan Tamei, and Rabbi Yochanan is consistent with another statement that he says. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yossi Aglili ve'echad mit Talmidei Rabbi Yishmael Amru Davar Echad. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who now is saying that the Midas Yavesh was sanctified, and one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Yishmael say the same thing. Umanu Rabbi Yossi. Who is that? Rabbi Yossi. The Tanya. Vayim shochem vayikadesh oisam. They anointed and they sanctified them. Rabbi Yossi Aimer Midas Halach, the liquid measure, nimshach beimim b'fnim beimim b'chutz. It was anointed on the inside, on the outside. So the overflow also becomes holy. Midas Yavesh nimshach b'fnim, on the inside. V'loi nimshach b'chutz. But you see the Rabbi Yossi holds that it was anointed at least in the inside. So then the lechem aponim would become holy, and there would be a reason to tell you it shouldn't become chametz. There's a different opinion. Rabbi Yonasan Amar, Midas Halach nimshach mibifnim. The Midas Halach was anointed on the inside, v'loi nimshach b'chutz. Midas Yavesh lo nimshachu kolika. The Gemara is going to ask, why doesn't he also say that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yonasan says the same thing? We'll see that soon. What's his raya that the Midas Yavesh wasn't anointed? Teida l'cha sha'arei ein mekatshos, that the Midas Yavesh doesn't sanctify it. Dichsiv mimoshvayseichem taviu lechem tnufa. From your habitat you should bring the bread of waving, shtayim, this is the halechem on Shavuos, shnei esrainim, 2 tenths, soilas tiyena, it should be fine flour, chametz te'afena, you should bake it, chametz bikurim la'Hashem. Emasayhem la'Hashem, only when you bake them, la'achashenefu. But when put in the keli, it doesn't become kaddish because the dry measure is not kaddish. Now, what's the machlokes over here? The machlokes revolves on what it means by yekadesh oisam. B'may kamiflagi, but oisam. Rabbi Yoshia savar oisam lemu'utei midas yavish mebechutz. Oisam just excludes the dry measure on the outside. Rabbi Yonasan savar, no. Midas yavish chalhu. The dry measure was never sanctified. You don't need a pasuk to exclude that. V'lo yitzur kra lemu'utei. Ki yitzur kra lemu'utei midas lach mebechutz. So the Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds like one Talmud of Rabbi Yishmael. Why doesn't he say that Rabbi Kiva also holds like one Talmud of Rabbi Yishmael? Namely, Rabbi Yonasan that says that the Midas Yavesh is not sanctified. Leima nami Rabbi Kiva ve'echam netalmid Rabbi Yishmael amadav ve'echad. Umanu Rabbi Yonasan, because they both hold that the Midas Yavesh is not sanctified. The reason is because they're not equivalent. They don't hold throughout the same opinion. Mishum deloy shava b'midas lach la'adadi. Rabbi Kiva says that midas lach is sanctified in the inside and the outside, which Rabbi Yonasan says it's only on the inside and not on the outside. So now the Gemara asks a technical question. The lechem aponim could be kneaded in a bisa, in a bowl. And that's midas lach. And that would sanctify it. And then there would be a reason to say that you should make it chametz. V'ika bisa delachu. Amalei, no, they didn't do it in a bowl. Kagain shalosh al gabi katablia. They did it on a leather platform, which did not have any sanctity. Ihachi, the Kama Rab Yonis in Tei de Lecha. Shari ein Kadeshes, that the Shtel Lechem is not sanctified until it's baked. Right? Lay, tell him that no, maybe the Midas Yavesh is sanctified. But here it's talking about where they measured it in a clay chol. Going to Kaila be on the chol. Says no. Hachiyashna. Bishleim bisa, the way to knead it. Like Kaser Achmana the Levid bisa lemelish beit. Nobody says you should put it in a bowl to knead it. So kilosh la gabi kitablia, to do it on a leather platform, but there's no problem. Eli Yisaron, the Yisaron, since we have to, the Torah says you need an Yisaron, why should we use a chol? Came in the Amar Achmana Ovid Yisaron v'kayel bey, Shavik Yisaron, the Kodesh will leave the utensils in the base of Mikdash, v'kayel b'Yisaron the chol. Yet we see that even if you measure it in the Yisaron of Kodesh, it's only sanctified when it's baked. That's a raya that the Midas HaYavesh doesn't have Kedusha. Now, before I go any further, I really should welcome everybody in. It's such a pleasure. We welcome in Mo Kushner and Berish Gesseman. Berish, you should feel much better and you should be able to come down. We really miss you here. We really do. You know, I turn to my side and I feel sad. Yaakov Warman, Baruchian, Rebellia Yafi. We have to have a long talk, Rebellia. Saba, Itzi Fuchs, Ruvain Pollock, what's his name? Barry Cement, Sean Fogel, Dr. Guy, Menachem Yemansky, Michal, Yisrael Fisher, Eddie Chazan, it's great to see you. Elliot, Yudel, Dr. Yudel, Itchy, wonderful to see you. Itchy got to see me a little bit in Florida this year. Even got to hear me a little bit in person. It's nicer to hear me in person, no? Dr. Eisenberg, Nachman Chapler, Rabbi Kranz, Naftali Jablin, Stephen Holtzman, Moshe Lehman, Shimon Klein, Gabriel Epstein, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Shelley Zeitlin, Yehuda Solomon. We're missing you tonight, Yehuda. Ilya Shutman, Richard Rosenzweig, and here in the shul, the Shmak, Ruvain Shanet, Danny Vogel, Iran, Reb Shlomo Borenstein, Chol Avram, Chaim, and Gedalia. So we're just too short of a minyan, right? With Yehuda Solomon and Rebellia, we would have had a minyan. Now, Tan Rabbanan. There is a din that kol shemimenu liishim harihu b'bal taktiru, that anything that we already offered up a part of the carbon to the fire, the rest of the carbon you're not allowed to put on the mizbeach. So, for example, if you put the kidneys, the lobe, or the liver of a carbon on the mizbeach, you can't put the meat on the mizbeach. You put the kmitz on the mizbeach, you can't put the shirayim on the mizbeach. Tanraban minayin lama'ala, that if you put on the mizbeach mibisar chatas, from the meat of a chatas, after you already put the emurim on the mizbeach, or mibisar oshim, from the meat of a guilt offering, or mibisar kachim, what else is kachim? It's not talking about an oil, because in oil everything goes on the mizbeach, but it means from the meat of shalmei tzibur, that's kifsei atzeres, which is kachim. Or or mikachim kalim, or from the meat of a shlamim, taida, ma'isa behema, or ma'isa aimer, or the remnants of the aimer after taking the kmitza, ma'isa shtei alechem. Now that can't be literally the girsa. The better girsa is mishtei alechem, because there's no ma'isa shtei alechem, because there's nothing removed from the shtei alechem. But putting the shtei alechem on the mizbeach, or lechem aponim on the mizbeach, or mishari menachos, or the rest of the mincha after the kmitza is put on the mizbeach, how do you know it's shu b'lo yisaseh? Talmud loimer ki chol sa'ar v'chol davash, any sourdough or honey like saktiru mimenu isha l'Hashem. Now we also learn out from the extra word mimenu, lo saktiru mimenu isha l'Hashem, that once something is put on the mizbeach from it, kol shemimenu l'ishim, then the remainder is babal taksiru. Kol shu mimenu l'ishim, anything that we offered part of it to the fire, harihu babal taksiru. So the Gemara says, but I don't understand. The shtei alechem and the lechem aponim, none of it goes to the fire. Says the Gemara, shtei alechem and lechem aponim yesh me'em le'ishim. V'atanya, we learned yotzu shtei alechem and lechem aponim she'ein me'em le'ishim. We learned, and this is talking about a different subject. This is talking about the mitzvah of Hagosha. There's a mitzvah to bring a carbon to the southwest corner of the Mizbeach. And this mitzvah does not apply to the Shtei Alechem and the Lechem Aponim, since none of it goes on the fire. V'atanya yotzu Shtei Alechem v'Lechem Aponim she'ein me'em le'ishim. Since none of it goes to the fire, there's no mitzvah to bring it to the southwest corner. But since none of it goes to the fire, then why should it be the isser of kosher mimenu leishim harihu b'bal taktiru? Amar Rav Sheshis, yes, ein migufay leishim. There's nothing from the body of the shtei alechem or the lechem aponim that goes on the fire, and therefore there's no mitzvah of hagosha. But as regard to the isser of kol shemimenu leishim, since the shtei alechem is attached to the kifsei atzeres, and the lechem aponim are attached to the two bazichin of levayna, once you offer the bazichin levayna of the lechem aponim, or the kifsei atzeres of the shtei alechem, then you can't put the lechem aponim and the shtei alechem on the mizbeach because of the isser of kol shemimenu leishim harihu b'bal taktira. Now, a few things. First of all, Baruch Hashem, I'm a little bit ahead this week. I'm about finished preparing Haggadah Gems number 2, and it's if I might say so myself, it's going to be a very wonderful shir. That's Hashem Li'ayin Hara. And we do not have a sponsor, which is a surprise to me. People usually want to sponsor a Pesach shir. So please let me hear from a sponsor in this great world of Torah anytime in YouTube and Kol HaLashon. Text me at 718-916-3100. 718-916-3100. RMMWSI, Rabbi Moshe Meriwai, Staten Island, at AOL.com. Also remember dailygiving.org. Join it and give $1 a day. You'll never regret doing that. Now the Chazal say, Melech Mamon Chaser. The salt that preserves money is when you give away money. Melech Mamon Chaser. Now, we're going to do the Mishnah Yomis. So